Chapter 4, Cao Dai, The Inner Teachings. The Voyage Inward. While a disciple performs duties toward humanity and is practicing vegetarianism for at least 10 days per month, he or she may be guided to the practice of esotericism, with meditation a major component. The goal is to progressively eradicate the inferior self and develop the divine element within the self, reaching toward oneness with the Supreme Being. Esoteric practices have become increasingly popular. The esoterist aspires to unite with the Supreme Being by concentrating on self-cultivation through meditation and self-purification. One learns to simplify desires and needs, to become sincere, kind and loving, and to expand outward to humanity and nature. Gradually, as neutrality and inner peace are gained, the practitioner or aspirant becomes free of the adverse emotions. At this point, a continual sense of loving openness with the universe, the Supreme Being, becomes possible. Meditation quiets the mind, which otherwise constantly roams from one thought to another. Meditation often allows a person the first deep contact with the inner self. It has value at whatever stage the meditator is, all the while laying the groundwork for the ultimate unification with the Creator, the original source. It is not necessary to enter a temple to practice this form of Cao Dai, for the esoterist realizes that the temple resides within, but by coming together, esoterists can share, learn, firm up their thinking, and practice together, all of which helps further their personal paths. Esotericism of major world religions. While the manner of practice may be different, even within one religion, the principle remains the same. Elevate human spirit to become one with the Supreme Being Spirit. All mystics have aspired to this, whatever their religions. The core Cao Dai esoteric practice consists of forming a second body or spiritual body through certain meditative practices. Cao Dai meditation consists of gaining control of the tin or physical body, which is vital matter, regulating the qi, which is the vital energy, and purifying the tongue, which is spirit, so that tin, qi, and tongue become one, forming the second or spiritual body. The esoterist develops the spiritual body as a stepping stone to becoming one with the Supreme Being Spirit. Fundamentals of Cao Dai meditation. Cao Dai meditation is called Thiền Định. Thiền means quieting, calming the mind and the emotions. Định refers to concentration, keeping the mind from wandering by maintaining focus. Originally, Ngo Van Chieu learned Thiền Định directly from Cao Dai in spiritual messages. Later, Pham Công Thach also received teachings about Thiền Định from the Supreme Being. Thach did not teach Thiền Định to any disciples at Tây Ninh because most were following exoteric practices. Chieu, in contrast, created his own group and taught Thiền Định preferentially and extensively. No written documentation regarding Cao Dai meditative techniques was made public until 1964, when a group of Caodaists at Saigon received spiritual messages telling them it was time to create an organization called Ko Quang Pho Thông Giáo Lý. The purpose of this organization was to unify Cao Dai by organizing seminars during which Caodaists, regardless of sex, would learn the common teachings. Through this organization, a meditation technique was taught by a spirit named Dong Phung Lao To, one of the Lao Tse's previous incarnations. Currently, Cao Dai disciples practice two techniques of Thiền Định, one from Chieu and one from Dong Phung Lao To. There are minor technical differences between the two, though both have the exact same principle, the cultivation of tin, qi, and tongue. Liang tin wa qi, luyện khí hóa thần, luyện thần hương hư, luyện hư hương vô. Tin is used to refer to the semen of man, and in both sexes as reproductive elements, male and female, or yang and yin respectively, which combined to form the physical and visible part of a person. Ki is used to refer to the gaseous element, air, force field, or aura. Ki represents perispirit, the semi-visible part of a person. People may experience this perispirit under the form of dream activities during sleep or as out-of-body experiences. Ki may be seen as an aura by a person who is at an advanced stage of Tieng Din, the stage when the third eye has opened. Ki also represents the power, the vital energy, and emotions of the human being. Among the main emotions, joy, love, and happiness are considered positive. Anger, hatred, sadness, greed, and adverse. The color of auras varies depending on the emotional states of the person. Tongue is the spirit, the invisible part of the person, also known as consciousness, conscience, or soul, the part which is pure and genuinely good. The first line above Ling Tin Wa Ki means to cultivate, Tin so that it will be transformed into Ki. Cultivate means to train and discipline the body and mind to make them still. Cultivation deepens through processes while it modulates the darting, racing mind. Soon there is more peace and calm and less need to run about indulging materialistic desires, seeking merely to satisfy the demands of the five sense organs, the ears, eyes, nose, tongue, and skin. Lien Ki Wa Tongue refers to cultivating Ki so that Ki will be transformed into tongue. To cultivate Ki, one directs the Ki flow through different centers of the body. This balances the emotions, good and adverse, so that one's emotions become purer and purer, eventually becoming one with tongue or spirit. In daily life, efforts to lift or to let go of adverse emotions will help with the cultivation of Ki. In other words, the aim is to have Tin and Ki become one with tongue. The trio, Tin, Ki, and tongue, eventually forms what is known as the sacred fetus, the second body of the human being. In the third line, Ling Tongue Hung Hu. Hu is the real and the contrary to the seemingly real, i.e. the visible, physical part of the human being. This visible part is of the earth and therefore temporary, not lasting. Plant, animal, and human will die to again become earth elements. Hu is the opposite of the illusionary reality of our day-to-day experience of the physical. Hu is the invisible, true, everlasting, eternal reality. Ling Tong Hung Hu detaches man from the illusionary reality of daily secular life. In the last line, Ling Hu Hung Vo, Vo refers to the state of Nile, the bliss of the great emptiness, which is the status of the Supreme Being, without birth, without death, without form, without color, without sound. This state is variously called beatitude, nirvana, and heaven. Ling Hu Hung Vo is to become one of the Supreme Being, reaching the expanded Nile status of nirvana heaven. Each person's spirit is part of the Supreme Being spirit. However, because of busy daily secular lives, most fail to pay attention to, recognize the presence of, or work to develop that spiritual body. When drives are physical, sexual, a human fetus, pham thai, is created. Then drives are focused towards the spiritual, a holy spiritual fetus, tan thai, is eventually formed, which will be able to grow into a Buddhic or spiritually enlightened state. Typical beginning meditation. Caodaists may practice whatever form of meditation seems most appropriate to the individual. The exercise which follows describes a commonly used approach which will initiate the process of transferring visible vital matter into ki, semi-visible vital energy, and finally into tongue, invisible spiritual energy. To venture forth from the mundane to the sublime, begin a meditation practice. What follows is a simple description of the steps involved in either of the meditation forms, for in the beginning there is no difference. Initially, it is recommended to meditate upon the breath in this way for an average of 20 to 30 minutes daily. 1. Sit with spine and head straight, eyes half open, lowered, and not focus on anything. Jaw relaxed, mouth closed with the tip of the tongue lightly touching the roof of the mouth behind the front teeth. 2. Inhale gently, directing the breath past the fire center at the heart, kāÄw, where it is imbued with the fire principle to the sacred plexus, kāďan, the next lower center at the navel. 3. While gently holding the breath for 2 seconds, transfer the energy of the inhalation into the extremely yin center at the base of the spine, the root chakra, or kāÄw. 4. Exhaling, direct the energy from the breath up through the spine into the extremely yang center at the top of the head, the crown chakra, or kāÄw. Along the way, the breath is imbued with the water principle, and the steam from interaction with the fire principle helps the third eye center, or kāÄw, begin to open. The foremost point is that the meditator's expectation should be humble, beginning to end. The key to success is absolute sincerity. The esoterist should sincerely desire to develop love, compassion, and understanding, which will naturally lead, with patience, to the true self in the heart and to unification with the Supreme Being. Esotericism. When? In today's hectic world with its attendant stresses and worries, esotericism is an invaluable resource even for those who believe they don't have the time. There are many ways to cultivate self to become purer spiritually that take very little or no time away from busy schedules. When the regular 20 minutes meditation seems too burdensome, it is time for creativity. Close your eyes and meditate for 2 or 3 minutes at your office, in a doctor's waiting room, at the airport, or parked in your car. Meditate for short periods just before bedtime when you are not facing a long list of daily duties. You will sleep more peacefully and deeply for devoting a few minutes to this. Many people do not think of eyes open meditation, but wakeful meditation can be accomplished during any routine activity like sweeping, walking, hammering, painting, folding laundry, washing dishes, or gardening. The principle behind this practice is to mindfully follow the contraction of the muscles involved so that the mind and the body are one during these activities. Your arm reaches out, you feel it stretch, its pull back. You are aware of the contraction. This feels completely better than those same automatic activities performed with the mind frantic and wandering every which way. The same attitude of loving kindness and mindfulness that one uses in any meditation remains an important element in wakeful forms of meditation. There are many ways one can be more attentive to inner spirituality while managing fully daily schedules. The idea is to access inner creativity in order to reach the spiritual level within you. This spiritual side is always waiting to be expressed. An invigorating chant carried on while driving does more to raise one's spirit than merely listening to the radio. Acts of service to humanity, however seemingly small, are always useful. One might express love for nature by consciously, lovingly recycling, using a bicycle, choosing a smaller car, growing flowers, planting trees, going organic in the home garden, or simply by appreciating nature's beauty and bounty in one's heart. One might show love and respect for animals by practicing partial or total vegetarianism. With mindfulness and creativity, each individual can discover many ways to spiritualize a day. Chapter 5. Frequently Asked Questions. Victor Hugo and Cao Dai. Victor Hugo in life. Victor Hugo was born in the year 1802 in the city of Besançon, France. His father a general in the army of the Napoleon Bonaparte. His younger years, Hugo followed his father to Spain and Italy before settling in Paris. Being extraordinarily bright, the banter was that he studied 1 and knew 10. His genius was recognized early in his life. At age 15, he submitted a poem which won a prestigious award from the Académie de France. In 1841, Hugo himself became a member of the Académie. Hugo rose to become the most prominent poet and man of letters in the 19th century France. After the 1848 revolt in Paris and the abdication of the king, Hugo participated in the assemblies of the legislature and judiciary. He was an orator for defending freedom, soon came into the sharp opposition with the new government. Hugo left France for 19 years. From 1853 to 1855, while in political exile on Jersey Island in the English Channel, Hugo participated in more than 100 seances with disincarnate spirits of a rather distinguished nature. Ultimately, a total believer in the truth of his experiences, Hugo questioned these spirits continuously and sharply. Always alert for contradictions or weak thinking, and so it was one of the towering geniuses of the 19th century came to value the cosmology and information about reincarnation presented in seances. During his lifetime, Hugo published numerous works, plays, and novels, as well as poetry, all philosophically rich, often with parable, affecting stories, poignant characters, and always passion. Two of his most renowned works still popular today are Les Miserables and Notre Dame de Paris. Few writers have equaled Hugo in his ability to analyze the human condition and to draw with words such a lavish variety of characters. A national funeral was carried out by the French government at his death in 1885, with his body being interred in the Panthéon in Paris. Victor Hugo in spirit. Victor Hugo's spirit lives on and guides as a beacon of activities in the Cao Dai community. Hugo has been named the patron saint of the overseas dissemination of Cao Dai. Truly, he has been the impetus for its expansion in the West through the spiritual contact he has granted adepts over the years. In 1927, Pham Công Thach, the head of the Caodai's legislative body, was told via spiritual contact to establish a Cao Dai foreign mission in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Thach went to Phnom Penh and stayed at Cao Đức Trum's home, having been told of Trum and these spiritual messages from God. They had not known each other prior to this journey. Thach shared with Trum the power and beauty of the holy messages received in Saigon, which were guiding the newly formed faith of Cao Dai. Trum asked Thach to set up such a session of spiritism and enjoin with the cooperation of his neighbors, Trung Quang Vinh and Dang Trang Chu. The ensuing sessions produced miraculous results. The messages received had referred to the name of the persons involved, which the mediums did not know, as well as to other personal business. Spirits also gave useful healing remedies to some of the participants. More and more people came to the sessions, all wanting advice for their personal lives. They put questions on paper, and when their turn came, they would step forward, kneel in front of the ngọc table, and pray while their written questions was held above their head. Each received a poem starting with their name that gave detailed answers to their questions. The amazing high-level information served to attract many people in the faith. Among the spirits who came through at these sessions was one of the first presented himself under the Vietnamese name Nguyệt Tam Chung Nhung, only to later reveal that he has been Victor Hugo in the previous lifetime, and that he, the spirit of Victor Hugo, had received an order from Cao Dai to establish the Cao Dai Foreign Mission. So it was that the Cao Dai Foreign Mission, with Victor Hugo as the titular head, was initiated, and there in Phnom Penh. Over the ensuing period, and up until today, Victor Hugo continues to communicate with disciples of Cao Dai. In the earlier days of the sessions of Tak Chom and Vinh, Hugo also revealed that Vinh was actually an incarnation of Hugo's son, Francois Hugo, and stated that Vinh would have a very bright future with fame and fortune. Initially, Vinh was incredulous, as at that time he was a simple secretary with a very low income. However, it proved true. In 1930, Vinh traveled to France to propagate Cao Dai and became renowned both at the French Congress and at the United Nations. In 1942, Vinh had the opportunity to return to Vietnam to be the leader of the Cao Dai army. These leadership experiences helped him to be later chosen to serve as Minister of Defense in Vietnam's Cao Dai government from 1948 to 1951. The illustrations on the following page shows Victor Hugo in the center with the two other Cao Dai saints, Sun Yat-sen and Chang Chin. They are pictured writing the words Dieu et humanité, God and humanity, and Amour et justice, love and justice, on the third alliance between God and mankind. In the third alliance, the saints make a pact with God to guide and assist the Caodaists in spreading the Great Way, holy doctrine. Spiritual messages from Victor Hugo. This is a dialogue that occurred between Ho Phap Phom Kom Tak and Victor Hugo in 1930. Ho Phap: when will the earth progress to a higher state? Victor Hugo: in order that you may comprehend the process of spiritual evolution, I have to use a spiritual expression you will understand. You must advance through stages of purgatory. Even the blessed have a long way to go to reach enlightenment. In order to comprehend the nature of the highest spirit, one must evolve to that same level to fully understand. No lesser spirit can even begin to comprehend. Even the Buddha could only make suppositions on that matter. I don't say you must comprehend all that I am telling you. What I say reflects thoughts from the Spirit's vantage point. Suppose for one moment that the Holy of Holies also once had a life in one of these universes. Passing at length through the realm of matter, he became a mortal, a sage, and therefrom advanced upward onto the divine level, entering at last into the mystery of creation. Through successive lives, gaining in spiritual power, finally transforming into the master of wisdom and science, attracting the best of spirits into a core of allegiance, and across the border of infinity together they passed. Ho Phap, referring to the Creator: he has a heaven of his own. Victor Hugo: yes, as each of us are within our own soul domain, which is a product of our own spiritual life force, those of complementary karmic states to our own accompany us and populate our environs. These are not necessarily trustworthy, having their own agendas to fulfill. Thus it is upon our own shoulders to redeem ourselves. Leaving ourselves impure invites evil into our lives. This is whence the specter of Satan emerges. If we face facts, we realize this, for Satan has a place in God's plan. By that element, our unpurified attributes cause all our strife, through jealousy, envy, or pure caprice. You have Ho Phap, a cramp in your hand. Let us continue our talk tomorrow. Ho Fa, pardon, if all comes from our Master, all must be perfect. Why then do we observe imperfection in nature? Victor Hugo, what are these imperfections? Will you give some examples? Ho Fa, the wickedness and uselessness of beings, whether men, animals, or vegetables. Sometimes their cause for being cannot be reasonably appreciated. Victor Hugo, nothing is wicked or useless in nature. To stay alive, all must receive nourishment. The good Lord ardently loves his children, and through this great love they are provided with great means. For their progress, he creates for them suffering. But they're also given means of defense. Have you seen in this world a man truly devout? Though they be wicked to us, they are useful to them. How did our great sages become as they are, as revealed by the pages of human history? A fierce struggle between the weak and the strong. Those of greatest fortitude are more often the victors. The struggle between the two polarities leads to an upward march of ideas and wise realizations. Our dear world is purely relative. Wicked and useless are only qualifications. On this globe, each of us has a place. All worlds, all lives are but classrooms. The universe is therefore a school for our spirits, who attend it for erudite study. Those who fail their courses must repeat them and study the lessons again. All spirits hope to read the eternal book that holds the wisdom that should make them immortal. The goal is to accomplish the task before us, which takes time and effort on our parts. From the material world to divine purity is a road leading to eternity. The result is the realization of true self, and through conscience to know how to be. The difference in characteristics has its reason. 'Tis an aid in making comparisons. Make room for great tolerance in your studies. Classify the spirits according to their aptitude. Simply separate those who are human from those who are already a little divine. Recruit the best of these to the task of uplifting humanity. Use all means to teach the spiritually unenlightened. Without showing distaste for any shortcomings you may perceive in them, think only of the advancements of their souls. Love always in order to give humanity these two verities, love and eternity. Cao Dai Prophecies. Since 1975, through political upheavals and divine arrangement, Cao Dai disciples have become dispersed throughout the world. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, under the socialist government, Cao Dai became totally paralyzed. The faith structure was dissolved and spiritism forbidden. Activities of the spreading of the Tao could not take place. Escapees, refugees, and exiles from Vietnam then received the mission to bring the invaluable Cao Dai faith to all humanity. Having a fervent love for peace and devotion to the Tao, Cao Dai disciples have gathered to form Cao Dai organizations all over the world with the goal of maintaining the faith overseas. A 1926 message from Cao Dai foretold, "From now on, my people, you shall not be thrice divided. Your Master will unite you in one haven where you'll tarry. When north and south have been dispersed and your fates have coincided, you shall bring forth the Tao I have given you to carry." People thrice divided refers to the three main faiths in Vietnam which were united under the wing of Cao Dai. The one haven where you'll tarry, north and south being dispersed, refers to the fact that people from all over Vietnam retreated either to other parts of Vietnam or to other countries for refuge. Fates have coincided, seems to suggest people from all strata of society meeting the same fates, i.e. becoming refugees, working together to spread the knowledge of their faith in faraway lands. The Tao, Great Way, I have given you to carry, is, of course, Cao Dai. And as the message affirms, Cao Dai's people are serving as messengers for this path in a way that without the disruptive events in Vietnam would have not occurred. The Masters is affirming to disciples that there is purpose behind events, all events of purpose often beyond human foresight or understanding at the time. There are many such prophecies among Cao Dai messages which may have been fulfilled as well as those which await fulfillment. The United States will be the fort where Cao Dai will prosper. Later on, Cao Dai will be successful thanks to Cao Dai organizations from overseas. Partially fulfilled in the Cao Dai in Vietnam is paralyzed by government policies. Vietnam, a tiny country, had the privilege of having the Supreme Being found the Great Way and will play an important role in guiding humanity towards peace and self-realization. Cao Dai and Jesus. Cao Dai recognizes the divinity of the Christ. Christianity is one of the original and principal elements of Cao Dai. Many Caodaists worship Jesus as the divine in human form and use the figure of Christ as one of the symbols on the home altar. Cao Dai and Islam. Cao Dai wholeheartedly agrees with the basic tenet of Islam. There is no God but God. In other words, God is one. And we are all simply worshiping different manifestation of the same power. Role of Mother Goddess in Cao Dai. In the opening chapter of the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tse states, "The Tao which can be told is not the universal Tao. The name which can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the fountainhead of the universe. The name is the mother of all beings." In Cao Dai, the goddess is seen as a manifestation and embodiment of the outer world, the entire physical universe. In other words, we exist within her form, and without her own manifestation would not be possible. It is not the true definition of a mother. Her domain is that which is visible and manifests our bodies, our world, and everything visible which it contains. Every Cao Dai temple complex contains her temple, and she is worshipped as our creatrix. Cao Dai adherents wear white for church occasions, the donning of simple white clothing symbolizing the equality of children in the eyes of a mother. White also symbolizes the purity of the esoteric realm which we aspire. Our spirit is from the Supreme Being, the unseen, the nil. The spiritual home is what we strive to reach. Yet when we have physical presence, we are most intimate with our mother. She provides everything to us until that point of spiritual illumination when we become one with the all, and that is, and reach enlightenment. She is the main element of our physical lives until we return to the source, the Supreme Being, by cultivation of our true self. Humans inherit yin from the goddess and yang from the Supreme Being. The yin part from Mother Goddess is responsible for the physical, the visible manifestations of human beings. The Tao Te Ching continues, "Having no desire, one can comprehend the mystery. Ever desiring, one instead sees the manifestations." These two realities spring from the same source but differ in name. This appears as darkness, darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. The world has pictured the goddess in many forms, and Cao Dai uses many of these symbols of worship, for as God is one to the Caodaists, so is goddess. As with the myriad names of God, she too is replete with them. In the tradition of Cao Dai, with its paramount conviction of oneness and seeing all as one, truly both mother and father are also one. But we are twin element beings, dual in our very nature, of two eyes, of two brains, of two genders. As a matter of course, we will find a way to differentiate all which surrounds us, even that which created us. The unadulterated reality is that all that is of that elusive single element, of one all-encompassing I, of one mind and no gender. Cao Dai and military forces. Cao Dai was founded in a country under French colonialization. Certain of its leaders were, like many other Vietnamese at the time, nationalists and personally involved in anti-French movements. The French authorities therefore viewed Cao Dai with extreme distrust from the beginning. Distrust made worse by the rapid expansion of the faith and its appeal to the masses. Military forces, which were formed by a group of Cao Dai nationalists in 1945 to fight against the French, were later used to protect Cao Dai disciples from the Vietnamese communists. The military forces known as Cao Dai military forces were not actually an organization of the Cao Dai faith. And of course, there is no mention or support for military forces in either Cao Dai policy or the Constitution. Moreover, any Cao Dai dignitary who desires to participate in any political organization must resign from any position in the Cao Dai sacerdotal hierarchy, for in becoming a dignitary, one must promise to serve humanity without any personal secular interest. In 1941, the French arrested Pham Công Thach, the Ho Phap leader of the legislative body of Cao Dai, as well as other Cao Dai leaders. All were exiled to Madagascar, an island half a world away off the coast of Africa. Nearly every Vietnamese Cao Dai temple was forced into closure. In 1942, Trung Quang Vinh, Cao Dai bishop and head of the Phnom Penh congregation, returned to Vietnam, secretly cooperating with the Japanese secret police to form a military force to fight the French Cao Dai military forces. Armed by the Japanese, participated in the coup d'etat which overturned the French in March 1945. However, after Japan's World War II surrender, just months later in August 1945, the French returned with full support from the world community. To the great dissatisfaction of independence-loving Vietnamese, now the Cao Dai army became loosely aligned with the Viet Minh. But this ended shortly when Cao Dai forces surrendered to the French. As one of the conditions for cooperation with the French, Vinh negotiated for the release of Thach and others exiled in Madagascar. At this point, Cao Dai forces were armed by the French and were used to protect Cao Dai disciples from massacre by the Viet Minh communists. In 1956, under the Diem government's orders, Cao Dai forces were disbanded as a separate entity and assimilated into South Vietnamese forces. The establishment of Cao Dai military forces, of course, went totally against the universal love concept taught by Cao Dai. Those who founded the army, however, logically reasoned that the presence of an army would help to protect the Cao Dai faith and keep disciples from being massacred. The Ho Phap Pham Công Thach, upon return from exile, began to refer to the Cao Dai army as Tam Mui Hua, the fire inside one's heart which may burn and destroy oneself. He proceeded to move Cao Dai military headquarters out of the Holy See. After the assimilation of Cao Dai forces into the South Vietnamese forces, General Nguyen Thanh Phuong, a former leader of the Cao Dai forces, was ordered by Diem to return to the Holy See and arrest Thach. This command was likely provoked because Cao Dai had been calling on both North and the South Vietnamese governments to negotiate, to be united with each other and to form a unique country in love and peace. To Diem, the Cao Dai proposal naturally would be perceived as a threat. It was diametrically opposed to the direction his American-backed government was choosing to lead. Deepening the perceived danger was the popular appeal of Cao Dai and its principle of love and unity to the masses. Tak was soon forced into exile. He fled to Cambodia and passed away several years later. Cao Dai military forces were thus a temporal phenomenon created first in reaction to the French and dissolved finally with the end of French colonialization in Vietnam. Life, death, reincarnation, karma. Cao Dai propounds that each person has two lives, a spiritual one which is everlasting, and a physical life which is temporary. The spiritual life is everlasting because a human being's spirit is part of the Supreme Being. The physical body, being comprised of matter, is only temporary and suffers wear and tear and with time and death. Physical life, the life of the body, is used by spirit for its evolution toward unification with the Supreme Being. The earth is viewed as a school of life where human spirit progresses by means of education, knowledge, and experiences assimilated through the physical body. The spirit leaves the physical body with physical death only to later enter body via rebirth in order to continue its evolution. All personal development, education, knowledge, and experiences in this life would be factors of influence upon the person's development. Knowledge and ways of viewing experience in the next life. Strong talents may be built up over many lifetimes and help explain the early knowledge of such ingenious individuals as Beethoven, Mozart, Einstein, and Hugo in the West, Nguyen Binh Kim, Lê Quý Dông in Vietnam. The common yet amazing experiences of déjà vu is often attributable to reincarnation. A person suddenly warms up upon seeing a place or a person previously known and loved, or recoils from a place or person which meant trouble and pain in the past. The next incarnation of many Tibetan lamas, including the Dalai Lama, are discovered when they are babies through signs, dreams, portents, and a battery of tests given to the child. Do they display early wisdom, the same mix of humor and seriousness? Can the child faultlessly choose the ritual object of the previous incarnation among near duplicates and other appealing colorful toys? To a Caodaist, death is the gateway to another life without continuing spiritual progression. Depending on one's level of spiritual evolution, a human spirit may return, reincarnating on earth to learn more, or it may progress on to another dimension. As the divine law is love and justice, this law is the golden rule for the spirit to follow in order to progress. Justice on the personal behavioral level simply involves treating others as you would wish to be treated. The rule of justice involves karma, the result of one's action, wise and kind or nasty and ignoble take on karmic meaning. The Bible teaches it this way: as ye sow, so shall ye reap. Karma explains why perfectly wonderful humans on this earth may sustain great suffering. They may be reaping the result of misdeeds, unfavorable actions, sins, not from this life but from previous lives. Or perhaps they haven't yet acquired the inner instinct or knowledge to move out of the way and will, at any rate, gain knowledge and development from their experiences. The two ways to detach from suffering without losing your compassion or feeling nature are to practice love and justice with others and to practice self-cultivation. True love and justice are not only the foundation for individual spiritual liberation, but lead to harmony on earth. Cao Dai's diverse spiritual teachings allow all persons in all spiritual stages to find refuge. What about heaven? There are 12 heavens or dimensions or spiritual levels which one may pass through after death. The levels of heavens depend on the proportion of yin and yang forces, energy in their constitution. A level with more yang would be lighter, brighter, and higher, closer to God. Each level would accommodate corresponding souls. Souls with good emotions, more yang, would be lighter and dwell at higher dimensions. Souls with more negative emotions, with less yang and more yin, would be heavier and dwell at lower, darker, colder dimensions. Emotions are like coats. The more negative emotion one has, the more heavy coat one wears. The heavier one is, the more arduous physical life. When one is in physical body, heaven and hell are in one's heart. Those with good heart feel light, free, as if they are in heaven. Those with negative emotions feel heavy, miserable, and suffer in their hearts as if they were in hell. The way to cultivate positive emotion and higher self is to return to the inner self, to find the quietness and peace which are naturally in the heart. Then one finds nirvana. From the lowest to the highest level, Cao Dai heavens are known as 1. Vườn Nhân Uyên, Nhân Uyên Garden. 2. Vườn Đạo Tiên, Immortal Peach Garden. 3. Thanh Thiên, Blue Heaven. 4. Huyền Thiên, Yellow Heaven. 5. Xích Thiên, Red Heaven. 6. Kim Thiên, Golden Heaven. 7. Hào Nhiên Thiên, Hào Nhiên Heaven, under Bodhisattva, Chunde and Phổ Hiền. 8. Phi Thương Thiên, Phi Thương Heaven, under Bodhisattva Tứ Hàng. 9. Tạo Hóa Thiên, Tạo Hóa Heaven, Heaven of the Creation under the Mother Goddess. 10. Hư Vô Thiên, Hư Vô Heaven, under Nhiên Đăng Buddha, Dip Ankara Buddha. 11. Hội Nhương Thiên, Hội Nhương Heaven, under Di Lạc Buddha, Mayeta Buddha. 12. Hồng Ngưỡng Thiên, Hồng Ngưỡng Heaven, under Di Lạc Buddha, Maitreya Buddha. The first 9 heavens are called Cửu Thiên. The Mother Goddess is in charge of these 9 heavens. Each heaven is controlled by superior spirits in order to help the souls navigate in the afterlife smoothly according to karmic law. The soul may progress upward to higher dimensions or heaven, or reincarnate back to lower dimensions to continue their self-cultivation. Superior spirits who have gained freedom from the lower dimensions and freedom from reincarnation may choose to incarnate to help human beings remember to cultivate their higher selves. These people sometimes lead very quiet lives, but are often recognized as great souls, free from base instincts, reactions, and emotions. In Cao Dai tradition, after a death there are 11 requiem sessions held to pray and chant for the soul to progress through all 12 heavens. The first 9 requiem are each 9 days apart. The 10th is 200 days from the 9th, and the last is 300 days from the 10th. The destiny of the soul is determined by karmic law. The prayers are just to help direct the soul through the afterlife dimension. Prayers cannot be used as a method to neutralize the karma a person created during his or her life. It is the same way the Tibetan Buddhism as well as the Cao Dai. If one has created good karma and cultivated and developed oneself, union with the Supreme Being may be attained, unless more karmic debt must be repaid, or perhaps more lessons learned on the school plane, the physical plane. In life, Cao Dai suggests that exoterism and esoterism be practiced at the same time. Exoterism being the path to performing good works for humanity. Esoterism helps to make one purer in order to be more easily unified with the Supreme Being. The little sacred light united with the great sacred light. You may also find in the Tibetan Book of the Dead that the soul is just a form of light. Self-cultivation consists of bringing one's tin and ki to purer and purer levels so that the tongue may finally become one with the great sacred light. As a result of self-cultivation, one's second body becomes purer and lighter and subsequently assimilates with higher and purer dimensions or heavens. Chapter 6. A Practical Way. Religion's Unity. A thorough study of all religions lead to the conclusion that all are indeed one, not necessarily with historical accuracy or certainty, not with varying customs, but one in their essential spiritual messages. All religions share these same fundamentals. All of humanity is one common family. All religions come from one divine source. A form of the Golden Rule is the basis for all ethics. Divinity can be experienced and realized in the individual through the inward practices of prayer, meditation, or contemplation. Cao Dai's highest, most honorable goal is to unite all of humanity through a pure understanding of the Supreme Being, whatever the minor differences between religions, and to thus promote peace and understanding on the planet. With shared understanding and vision, people and religions could set aside these minor differences which presently cause such separation. A decorously ordered world where all religions nicely match is not the desire of Cao Dai. The true intent is to create a more tolerant, unbiased world where all can accept each other as family originating from a common divine source. Different teachings, same truth. Love. Promote religious tolerance in the world. That is the main directive of Cao Dai. In championing unity and tolerance of diversity, Cao Dai fulfills its role as a bridge between religions. Caodaists seek out and express similarities and parallels between religions so that humankind may realize love, which in all religions is the paramount law. There are two supreme motivations which serve to guide the thoughts and actions of all Caodaists, whether they be of esoteric or exoteric persuasion. Love and justice. Love, of course, reigns supreme in Cao Dai as it does in other religions. In the Bible it is written, God is love. Caodaists believe one should put nothing before God. Therefore, they put nothing before love. Here are some of the various religions' teachings on love. Confucianism. Love mankind. To love all beings is the greatest benevolence. Shinto. Love is the embodiment of the Lord. Cao Dai. I am the Father of love. Love has created the universe and given birth to all of you. You come from love and are the body, physical manifestation of love. Love is the cause of the existence of the universe. With love, all things can be at peace and the universe calm. With peace, there would be no mutual hatred, no mutual destruction, and subsequently, there would be maintenance of life and evolvement. Evil is against life and evolvement. I am life, and evil is like death. Evil wants to harm you by including you into hatred, because hatred would lead to mutual destruction and death. Therefore, if you can't love each other, I forbid you to hate each other. Hinduism. True religion is to love as God has loved them in all things, whether great or small. Who sees me everywhere, and all in me loves me in all. Them that worship me with love, I love. They are in me, and I in them. A man should not hate any living creature. Let him be friendly and compassionate to all. He who sees all beings in the self, and the self in all being, hates none. Buddhism. The ninth perfection is loving kindness. As water quenches the thirst of the good and the bad alike, and cleanses them of dust and impurity, so also shall you treat your friend and your foe alike with loving kindness. May creatures all abound in well-being and peace, and creatures weak and strong, all creatures great and small. Let all-embracing thoughts for all that lives be thine, and all-embracing love for all the universe in all its heights and depths and breadth. Continuous love, unmarred by hate within, not rousing enmity. Taoism. In governing the world, let rule and trusted be. to him who treats his ranks as if it were his soul. World sovereignty can be committed to that man who loves all people as he loves himself. The excellence of friendship is measured by love. Judaism. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins. Christianity. God is love, and he who dwells in love dwells in God. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. Abide in faith, hope, and love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. Islam. Love is this, that you should account yourself very little and God very great. I have not sent the curse to the infidels, but to have mercy on mankind. Different teachings, same truth. Justice. Justice is the natural result of love put into action, and Caodaists always seeks to promote justice. Justice can be summed up in the golden rule, to which each religion has its own version. Here are a few examples. Hinduism. Do not to others, which if done to thee would cause the pain. Buddhism. Hurt not others in a way that you yourself would find hurtful. Sikhism. Don't create enmity with anyone, as God is within everyone. Zoroastrianism. Do not do unto others all that which is not well for oneself. Jainism. In happiness and suffering, in joy and grief, we should regard all creatures as we regard our own self. Judaism. Do not unto others what thou wouldst not they do unto thee. Christianity. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Islam. None of you truly have the faith if you do not desire for your brother that which you desire for yourself. Wicca. If it harms none, do what you will. Confucianism. Do not do unto others what you do not want others to do unto you. Baha'i. Lay not on any soul a load which ye would not wish to be laid upon you, and desire not for anyone the thing you would not desire for yourself. Peace on earth. The profusion of teaching that religions do share in common is a beautiful wonder. When an individual or religious leader is daring or curious enough to study other religions, they discover one unique truth expressed in many different ways. At this current moment, in this current situation in the world, the existence of Cao Dai is simply to remind humanity and all religions that all religions are of one same origin and of one same principle, and that humans are just brothers and sisters of one same loving Creator. When people are open to examining other religions or to contacting other religious communities in their areas to talk to the religious leaders, and perhaps to some of the faithful, this builds a dialogue of understanding between them. This would be likely the most powerful weapon against hatred and intolerance, and hopefully many friendships would result. In addition, church groups could organize meetings where different religions could be discussed. Speakers could be invited, videos and music from different traditions could be shared, understanding between people would be enhanced, community projects and charitable projects could be established with the participation of all local religions. Through shared community, service, and love and compassion for those in need, people would become closer and love could develop as a solid bond. Peace would subsequently be found between individuals at first, and then progressively in local communities, and finally on earth. The revelation which prompted the formation in Cao Dai in the 1920s, that all religions are really one at their core was perhaps a concept far ahead of its time. Today the world stands at the frontier of a new millennium. As Cao Dai works within the framework of the interfaith movement, the facts are clear. Many other faith groups have also received the same messages and or hold the same view as the initial Cao Dai revelation. Religions are one. Could it be that the time of the true Cao Dai without being Cao Dai is upon us?